Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news. We are talking today about the spot Bitcoin ETFs, what's going on with Grayscale, what's going on with BlackRock, and how this is going to progress in the next couple of months. Very exciting things in today's news. We also have Ethereum being classified as a commodity in the US courts, once again showing the SEC that they don't really know what they're doing. So we will be talking about that in today's stream. Make sure to stay tuned. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button, and we'll be analysing the price of Bitcoin at the end of today's stream as well. So let's first of all take a look at what's been going on in the last 24 hours. We are feeling positive here, but the markets haven't been reflecting that. Bitcoin is down 4.45% within the last 24 hours to $26,000, and Ethereum is down 3.57% as well. So we have retraced all of those gains that we made when Grayscale's won their lawsuit in court. So let's discuss the cryptocurrency news here. As we've been saying on the streams for a while, what's happening in the markets now is very much determined by the news. We're not looking at levels of supports and resistance here going, oh, that support's broken, so we're going to move to the downside. It's all very much news dependent. So this is why it's really important to stay up to date with what's going on in the cryptocurrency news. A lot of people ignore that, but it is a critical part in analysis right now. At this point in time, with the volumes being so low in the cryptocurrency markets, the news is having a huge impact on the price. So if you are trying to trade the markets right now, make sure to be tuning into these live streams every single weekday where we run through the latest cryptocurrency news and keep you on track. If you have not already, please don't forget also to go to cryptosavingexpert.com, press that big blue sign up button and sign up and get access to all of that information on the website as well. But let's get started into today's cryptocurrency news. First of all, we are hearing that the SEC has delayed the decision for the spot Bitcoin ETFs for BlackRock, Fidelity, Valkyrie, Bitwise, VanEck, WisdomTree, and the joint application by Invesco and Galaxy. So a huge amount of delays there. This is the first delay they can make. They have two more to go. So we have the first deadline, which was all around the 1st, 2nd, and 4th of September. Then we have the second deadline, which is around the 16th, 17th of October. And then we have another one at the start of January and the final one at the middle of March. So these are all the decision dates that we have for the SEC. They can choose to either delay their decision or they can choose to create a decision like a confirm or deny the applications. So what we're seeing right now is they have rejected all of these cases. This is exactly what we anticipated. This is what we thought was going to happen. We didn't think they'd just say, yeah, do you know what? We've lost that lawsuit with Grayscale, so you can just all have them now. Go and launch them. It's absolutely fine. That is not what we're expecting to see. We are expecting to see more delays as well. Obviously, this is not certain, but from the looks of things, we all know the SEC don't like the cryptocurrency space, so they want to kick the can down the road as long as possible. I think we are going to be looking at that final deadline for a decision on these ETFs, but we'll have to stay tuned on this one. It's a very interesting story here. So we can see, obviously, if the SEC delays for a second time, the third deadline for Bitwise is the 14th of January, and the others are around the same date, on the 15th of January to the 17th of January. If the SEC delays for a third time, it must accept or reject the applications on the final deadline for all applicants. Again, Bitwise deadline comes first on the 14th of March, and then we're looking at the 15th to the 19th for the others. Now, we have seen a lot of news suggesting that we actually could see a simultaneous acceptance of these ETFs from the SEC. So rather than accepting Bitwise's first on the 14th and then looking at BlackRock and Fidelity on the 15th and then others on the 19th of each month, instead we could just see an overall acceptance of all of the applications the SEC has right now. This would stop a first mover advantage in the traditional markets. So it means that all of these providers of the spot Bitcoin ETF have a fair chance in the markets, and we don't have one leading the way and getting all of that market adoption before the others get to go in and try and compete in the space. Simultaneous acceptance is what I am agreeing with and I would like to see, but we do not get what we want, so we'll have to see on that one. But definitely, there's been a big shift this week. Grayscale's win is huge for the cryptocurrency space, and it has increased the likelihood of all of these getting accepted in terms of probability. We did see reports that it's 75% likely that these ETFs will be accepted, and we have actually seen reports that they could get accepted this fall. So things are looking up for the cryptocurrency space. Things are getting pretty exciting once again. We've been in a period of time of low volumes, but it seems like we have some news on the way that could create some volatility, and with that comes a lot of excitement. Let's take a look at the next cryptocurrency news article here and see what else is going on. Before we continue today's stream, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got Robert and there's Rob in the chat today, and Raina, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I very much appreciate it. We are on 7 likes for today's stream. Let's try and get that up to 25. We used to be able to do it in the times where Bitcoin was up. We want to be able to do it when Bitcoin is down as well. So let's see what we can do there today. First of all, let's move on to this story here. So Grayscale, the CEO, is unsure about refiling for spot Bitcoin ETF. So we all know by now, Grayscale won that lawsuit against the SEC in court on Tuesday, I think it was. Since then, we've seen a lot of excitement. And what we're seeing now is Grayscale don't actually know what the next steps are going to be. So the SEC actually have a 45-day period in which they can appeal this decision from the courts. And this lawsuit could be dragged on for even longer. So this is what we're waiting for now. Basically, Grayscale have to sit on the end of their seats, follow all of the rules for the next 45 days, and just sit on their hands and hope that the SEC don't appeal this decision. Do we think the SEC are going to appeal this decision? Let me know in the chat what you think about this. So what's happening now is Grayscale have got to wait for 45 days, and once those 45 days have passed, Grayscale will get given a step-by-step guide of what they need to do next to continue pushing forward with this project. So they'll get the rules there. They may have to reapply and wait another 240 days, or the SEC may be able to re-review the current filing. But the courts have ruled so far this lawsuit has ended with the need for SEC to re-review the application. So we just don't know yet whether that's the current application or they need to make a new one and give the SEC an extra 240 days. Now, giving the SEC an extra 240 days would take us to around the 30th of April next year, so that would be just after the Bitcoin halving. Obviously, this wouldn't position Grayscale brilliantly. We want to see, as we've just discussed, some simultaneous acceptance so we don't have that first mover advantage when it comes to spot Bitcoin ETFs in the traditional markets. And we all know Grayscale have been fighting for an ETF for a very long period of time. So I think it would be a real shame to see them get accepted much after those bigger institutions like BlackRock, like Fidelity. I would like to see simultaneous acceptance, if not give Grayscale the first move, but it's not looking that way. If they do have to reapply, that could be accepted at a later date, and the competition may get that first mover advantage and may be able to pick up a lot of the market and the market cap that is interested in the traditional markets, which would be a shame. Let's continue on to the next story here though and see what else is going on today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got it all in the news today. We have seen Ethereum has been declared as a commodity in a Uniswap case. So basically, some people here decided that they lost money due to scam tokens on Uniswap, and they filed a lawsuit against the exchange, which is obviously decentralized on Ethereum, and its CEO. So 6 individuals were behind the lawsuit as they argued it was Uniswap's responsibility for the lost funds. Now, this seems absolutely crazy in the world of decentralization. You are in control of your own funds. You make your own decisions. There's no central party that has control over your funds, and you have decided to invest in a scam coin. You need to do your own due diligence. As we all say in crypto, you are taking your own risks. But these 6 individuals decided that they could create a lawsuit against decentralized exchange Uniswap and its CEO. Obviously, they lost that lawsuit there. But in the midst of that lawsuit, we did hear the US courts determine that Ethereum is a commodity. Now, this is big news. So, when we determine whether an asset is a security or a commodity, we use the Howey test, which was created in 1946. The SEC have been saying that the Howey test fits the digital asset industry, and we can use the Howey test to determine whether an asset is a security or a commodity. Now, if an asset is a security, it needs to be regulated by the SEC. So the cryptocurrency space have been saying, do you know what? It's really hard to determine whether an asset, a digital asset, is a security or a commodity when using this test from 1946. 2026, because this is a new industry. It's very, very different to the traditional industries, and the rules that the Howey test uses to categorize the assets aren't really clear when it comes to the cryptocurrency space. And the SEC have been saying all along, do you know what? The Howey test is absolutely fine. It works. We all know it. We've used it for years. We can continue to use it. The cryptocurrency space are just not choosing to follow these rules. Now, we've seen two big wins in the last couple of months. We've seen, first of all, Ripple win in court, where the courts determined that XRP is not a security through the Howey test, when the SEC have been saying it is a security through the Howey test. So this has proven, first of all, that the SEC's regulation and guidelines are not clear for the cryptocurrency space. If the SEC are disagreeing with the US courts, that shows there's some discrepancy there. There's some subjective information in there, and these aren't clear guidelines to help us categorize these assets. And now we're seeing again that Ethereum has been determined to be a commodity. Now, what this means is it should not be regulated by the SEC. Now, have the SEC been trying to regulate it? Not as such, but what they have done is they've lacked clarification over whether this is a security or a commodity. So Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, has been pressed on this for quite a while now for him to determine whether Ethereum is a security or not, and he has not given us an answer, and he's actually been pressed. If we take a look at this article, it says in here, in April, the SEC, Gary Gensler, refused to answer a yes or no question from Congressman McHenry while being questioned in Congress. And that yes or no question was, is Ethereum a security? Yes or no? And he refused to answer. And we've seen a lot of debate about this in the SEC over the years. We did see it launch as an ICO, which some people use to determine an asset to be a security. But then there were discussions in the Hinman articles about it transitioning into a commodity. And that's something we've never seen before with other assets. So this created a whole whirlwind of problems for the SEC, undermines their credibility because they can't create some infrastructure and some regulation, some clear guidelines for the cryptocurrency space to abide by, yet they can charge random projects and cryptocurrency exchanges whenever they wish. So there's become this sort of air of unreliability from the SEC, and there's a lack of understanding of Gary Gensler and his decisions towards the cryptocurrency space. The congressmen are saying it. We have seen actually a application to remove the congressman from the SEC, from the chairman from the SEC, from a congressman, looking to instead of having an SEC chairman, having a board at the top of the regulators instead. So there's lots of debates going on here. It's not just the cryptocurrency space saying, do you know what, we don't want any regulation. This is problems with the regulators. The regulators are not being clear, they're not giving us fair guidelines, and even members of Congress are seeing this and pushing to get Chairman Gary Gensler removed from the SEC. This is not, I would like to clarify, this is not just the cryptocurrency space not wanting regulation. There is a common misconception. We want regulation. We want regulation that will allow us to grow and continue to build this industry. Without regulation, we have a ceiling on how high we can grow. And I think a lot of people have accepted that now. But the thing we have not accepted is unclear regulation, because it seems so random as to where we are getting targeted as an industry. So we are all pushing for Gary Gensler to get out of the SEC. That'd be a big win for the cryptocurrency space, in my opinion. We do want to see clear guidelines. Well, the majority of us do, I believe. I would like to see clear guidelines to help us determine whether assets are securities or commodities, and then we can continue to grow in the best way forward. We can see the path, we can understand the guidelines, we can abide by them, and we can move forwards. But what's happening now is the SEC is unclear, and what's going to happen in the future if we continue in this way is that cryptocurrency projects are going to move out of the US and start to grow elsewhere, and then the US are going to panic because they're getting left behind on this wave of adoption of this new brilliant technology, which is blockchain. Now, that was a really big ramble there, so I think we should move on to the next article. Before we do, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We have an article here which shows that we have $225 million of tokens being unlocked in September. So a huge number here. We are looking at Habar, SU, IMX, APT, APE, DYDX, and OP there. So this is a really interesting article. If you are invested in any of these tokens, I would definitely recommend taking a look. Learning about the tokenomics of projects is really, really important. What we are seeing here is a huge amount of tokens being minted and put into distribution, and when that happens, happens, it can liquidate some of your tokens, essentially dilute some of your tokens is the word I'm looking for, and therefore cause some price movements. So make sure to check out this article if you are invested in any of these tokens. If you want to learn more about the tokenomics and understand why this would affect you, go over to our courses tab, and in our Crypto 101 courses, I believe we have one which is called Tokenomics, and there's videos of me throughout this course, and you will learn about tokenomics and how that unlock will phase your investment. So make sure to check that out. Let's see what else is going on in the cryptocurrency news. Before we forget, that is cryptosavingexpert.com, the best cryptocurrency news outlet out there. Let's see what's going on here. So Bitcoin has retraced after the Grayscale fueled move as the SEC delays the spot ETF decisions. As we've just said, Grayscale had a big victory against the SEC on Tuesday, and now we have seen a retracement for the price of Bitcoin back down to $26,000. So we will be looking at levels of support and resistance at the end of today's stream. But as I said, right now, when we're looking at the chart and we're trying to analyze the price of Bitcoin and predict where it's going, the most important thing right now, in my opinion, is the cryptocurrency news. We are seeing here that there's low volumes in the market. I mean, if you take a look at the volume down here, it's not as clear as I'd like it to be here, but I think you can all see it okay. The volumes here, incredibly high. And then as soon as we hit March this year, there was just a huge fall in volumes, and we've seen really, really low volumes since that point in time. So right now, the markets can be easily moved by news. We don't have any major levels of support and resistance that are breaking right now, but we are seeing fluctuations in the price. And in the last couple of months, those fluctuations have come from the news. We saw sideways action here. We saw negative news. We broke to the downside. We saw sideways action here. We saw negative news. We moved to the downside. And this is what we're seeing here. The news is impacting the price the most out of everything right now. So make sure to stay up to date with the cryptocurrency news. Give us a like, give us a follow, and tune into these live streams every single day where we keep you up to date with what's going on. Let's take a look at the next article here and see what's going on. We have Crypto Travel Rule goes live in the UK on the 1st of December. So the rule aims to prevent money laundering and terrorism financing on chain. So what we're going to see is cryptocurrencies in the UK have the ability to withhold crypto transfers in adherence with the travel rule for cryptocurrencies. So these regulations directed at VASPs were introduced by the FCA on the 17th of August. And VASPs operating within the UK are now obligated to collect, verify, and share information concerning crypto asset transfers. So if that does affect you and you are interested in that, I will drop the link to you in the chat, but I am aware that may not be the most interesting news story of the day, so I think we'll move on to the next one. We have Bitcoin battling with the 200-day moving average and the 200-week moving average. So you can see here, this one here is the 200-day moving average. We've had this as a level of support previously, and now it is acting as a level of resistance, unfortunately. And we also have the same sort of thing going on with the 200-week moving average. Now, these are major points that we need to be looking at, yet to break through either of them. Do we have more downside potential? A lot of people are thinking this way, and I would like to get some general consensus from the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you actually know, maybe not a thumbs up. Give me a U if you think the market is moving up, and give me a D if you think the market is moving down. Put that in the live chat and let me see what the consensus is in the news today. Let's continue on with the next article here. SEC ETF delay pulls market back, leading to $130 million liquidation havoc. So the SEC delay caused the broader cryptocurrency market to decline by nearly 4%. Now, I think this one was a little bit of an overreaction. We all very well knew that the SEC were going to delay this decision. It was highly likely that that was the case. So unfortunately, we have seen a move to the downside. But I think that was a bit of an overreaction from us investors in the space. Let's continue with today's news and see what else is going on. Grayscale's AUM soars after court win, but it faces stiff competition in the ETF. So let's see here. The days since Grayscale's critical court win against the SEC has seen the company face challenges and opportunities. Let's see where GBTC is right now. So GBTC here, down slightly in the last 24 hours. In the last 5 days, though, it still had a win. We're up 4.88% in the last 5 days, so that's still a win there. If we take a look, we don't have a week trace on here, which is weird, Google. Fix that, Google, if you're listening. We can see here in the last month, it is down slightly, 1.73%, but that was a big win there. And we can now see I would like to know what the discrepancy between this is right now, between this and their Bitcoin holdings. I'll try and find that out for the next stream. Let's see what else is going on here. In the chat, we're seeing overall, actually we'll come back to that in a second, Coinbase is going to list PYUSD, PayPal's new stablecoin. I think we're going to see this continuously across many centralized exchanges there. Let's move on to the price of Bitcoin now. What we have here is we've got down, sideways, up, down, down. So I think the markets are pretty split right now. It's hard to see what's going on here. Let's, in fact, bring in the Fear and Greed Index. We've not looked at this for a while. What we also have to look at today is the Bitcoin CME gap. So let's take a look at the Fear and Greed Index first of all. And this isn't the one I like to look at. I like to look at alternative.me. 40. So there's a bit of fear in the markets right now, which usually tells me to be greedy. I like to go against the general consensus when the markets are feeling greedy. I like to buy, and when the markets are feeling fearful, I like to be greedy, and when the markets are feeling greedy, I like to be fearful. I'm finding it hard to continue with that consensus over the last couple of weeks. It's an uncertain time, and I think that uncertainty is bringing fear. But is that fear warranted? With the stuff that's going on with Evergrande and that contagion right now, it's bringing me fear. I am in the fearful sector right now. Let's see what's going on with the price of Bitcoin here. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. We're on 14 likes today, which is pretty good for in-stream likes. I hope that continues over the next couple of minutes. Let's see what else is going on here. So we have a level of support here, which we have not broken. We are still technically in an uptrend because we've not broken that most recent low. So we're creating higher highs and higher lows. But will we be able to maintain this low any longer? If you take a look at the 4-hour chart, we actually have not really closed a candle below a 4-hour candle. And this is the daily chart. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. We've not closed a 4-hour candle below that $25,764 level. So we do have it could be called a zone of support right now at that point to the $26,000 level. I wouldn't say it was too strong. It's just there from the last couple of days. But we have had a solid move to the sideways action apart from that grayscale blip. So right now, I think it's important to just keep our eyes on the news. Obviously, it's the weekend, and over the weekend, we didn't really see as much action as we typically see. We did close that CME gap, which was above us at $27,500 this week, though, and we are now due another CME gap because the weekend has arrived. So what we're going to see here is the markets are going to close tonight, and then they will open for us Sunday night in UK time, and with that we could be seeing another CME gap being created. We currently have one down at $20,300, and we have one all the way up at $35,000 as well. But we'll be reporting on that. They act like magnets for the Bitcoin price. If we could move to the upside now and then have a little bit of a dip, it would be nice to see the CME gap above us, rather than below us. Or it'd be nice to see one at all. We've been seeing no real weekend price action in the last couple of weeks, so we haven't really had a CME gap to look at. But we'll be keeping an eye on that, and we will be discussing that on Monday's stream once that CME gap has been created, if there is one. But I think that is all we have for today's news. So thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I hope you have enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Final words from Go Play Online. He says the trend is your friend until the end. 100% agree with that one. Thank you very much for tuning in as always, and I will see you all back here on Monday with another live stream with the latest cryptocurrency news.